Well, Colin, compliments of the season to you, and thanks so much for your time. I know you're flat out rushing off to another meeting, but let's look at where we're at the moment. It's been a tricky year. Are we on track for a good harvest? Can you tell at this stage?
Yeah, it's shaping up really good, Mark. Oh, it's certainly in Canterbury it is. We've had extremely wet winter through July, August, and then very cold. And then we've had some good rains sort of the last couple of months, I suppose. So things are shaping up pretty good. Got to remember we had a really terrible harvest back in February 2022 with the continual rain. So we're sort of still getting over that. It's really affecting a lot of our growers' cash flows to try and fund this current year, especially with all the increased costs with fertiliser and cost of labour and cost of machinery and fuel and all that sort of stuff. So it's been a wee bit sort of tricky, but the prospects look really promising for the year, actually.
Because, of course, you get your contracts sort of a year in advance, don't you? You sort them out, and then when something like blimmin' Putin comes along and mucks up the world effectively, you're sort of stuck with an old contract, and, of course, the prices go up, so that's a loss, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right, Mark. That's typically how we work. So we work virtually 18 months out from planting. So we plant in the autumn. So that's sort of April, May, and then harvest the following sort of February, and then we deliver all that year. So we're still sort of been delivering the last of last year's old prices. So prices look really promising for the 2023 harvest, with up 50%, which is almost unheard of in my whole farming career.
And it's looking good. I mean, you've got a very optimistic lilt in your voice, I can note. So you are feeling pretty confident that, with some decent sunshine now, that it could be a boomer.
Well, yeah, I don't like to be count our chickens before they hatch, I suppose, sort of style, Mark. But sort of we've seen it a little bit before like this. It looks really good, and then it sort of turns to custard. But I think we're generally optimistic. There's an element of concern with the maize situation in the Northland. Have been impacted by a lot of really wet weather, and some of the crops have been there's been almost drowned out, and even areas have had to be re-sown. So that's a wee bit of a concern. I'm going to check in with the maize growers sort of mid-January and once we're through Christmas and all that, and to get a really good handle on what's going on there. The implications are for that, Mark. A lot of the maize is used for maize silage, which is feeding the dairy sector. So the implications are it could potentially cause a bit of a feed deficit there, but it's still unknown. But I should know in about a month's time, a bit more of an update on that.
If I recall, you mentioned, of course, before that the harvest was a bit of a shocker because of the weather, and then when you were growing for the next season, it was sort of similar effect in the fact that the tractors, the big machinery, couldn't get onto the paddocks. They were too sodden. So does that mean there's going to be delays in harvesting at this time?
Mother Nature has a great way of just rebalancing it all. And I know we've had delays, but in our own case, the crops were behind. But then we had some bouts of warm weather, and they actually shot ahead. And I think we're almost back on track with the normal timing. So it's amazing how and when we get to the warmer months too, things just speed up the growth of everything, and it's amazing how things can actually catch up.
With the opening of the borders as well is probably my next and final question. In terms, it used to be the issue with the contractors, the guys who drive the big machinery. Is that going to be an issue this year, or do you think there'll be enough of those guys on the road again and coming to New Zealand?
Yeah, I think so, Mark. So with us arable cropping guys, our labour requirements probably start in January, I suppose. So we normally pick up some from the contractors. So that's the silage contractors, and so they're in the they're kind of busy through the spring. So normally a lot of these overseas become available probably post Christmas. So we don't have a big issue with labour directly on farms. I suppose it's probably more the contractors, but hopefully we can pick some up. All accounts, we've got a couple starting on our farm, so we're pretty lucky with it in that point. So not too big issue for the arable guys. I know the dairy sector is still under quite a bit of pressure with labour as well. So a bit of a mixed bag there.
Well, Colin, great to chat as always. Appreciate the amount of time you give us over the year. It's invaluable, and I wish you and your family a very, very Merry Christmas and a great start to the new year. Go a good harvest.
Thanks, mate. Really appreciate it. And thanks for your time over the year. It's been really great. And a Merry Christmas to all the viewers. And just remember, we need people to join Federated Farmers to support us. I mean, we're a voluntary organisation, so just a bit of a shout out to for people who aren't members to actually potentially join it up, which would really welcome.